Pontius Pilate's wife, Gamma Upsilon Nu Alpha Tau Omicron, Latin, uxor, Florida. 1st century is unnamed in the New Testament, where she appears in a single verse of the Gospel of Matthew. In later Christian tradition, she is known variously as Saint Procula, Saint Claudia, Claudia Procles, or Claudia Procula. Christian literature and legends have amplified the brief anecdote about Pilate's wife in the New Testament account in the Gospel of Matthew. In the New Testament, the only reference to Pilate's wife exists in a single sentence by Matthew. According to Matthew chapter 27 verse 19, she sent a message to her husband asking him not to condemn Jesus Christ to death. While Pilate was sitting in the judgment hall, his wife sent him a message: "Have nothing to do with that innocent man, because in a dream last night I suffered much on account of him." Pilate did not heed the warning of his wife, who is not named in the Gospel. The name Claudia appears only once in the New Testament, apparently referring to a different person. In the second epistle to Timothy chapter 4 verse 21, Eubulus, Pudens, Linus and Claudia send the greetings, and so all the other Christians. Christian legends, traditions and theology. Pilate's wife is referred to in the apocryphal Gospel of Nicodemus, which gives a more elaborate version of the episode of the dream than Matthew. She is first named as Claudia in 1619 in the Chronicle of Pseudo-Dexter. In later Christian tradition she is known as Claudia Procula. In the 3rd century, Origen suggested in his homilies on Matthew that the wife of Pilate had become a Christian, or at least that God sent her the dream mentioned by Matthew so that she would convert. This interpretation was shared by several theologians of antiquity and the Middle Ages. Rival theologians contended the dream was sent by Satan in an attempt to thwart the salvation that was going to result from Christ's death. Sainthood. Procula is recognized as a saint in two churches within the Eastern Christian tradition: the Eastern Orthodox Church and the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. In the Eastern Orthodox Church, she is celebrated on the 27th of October. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church celebrates Pilate and Procula together on the 25th of June. Purported letter by Pilate's wife. A letter, purportedly written in Latin by Pilate's wife from a little Gallic mountain town several years after Pilate left Jerusalem, was first published in 1865 in Slovenian in the Catholic journal Kmetički in Rokodelski Novice, Volume 23, Number 15, pages 117 to 120. An English translation by Catherine Van Dyke was published by Pictorial Review magazine in April 1929. The letter states that Pilate's wife successfully sought Jesus' aid to heal the crippled foot of her son Pilo. Depictions. Pilate's wife is sometimes shown in medieval depictions of scenes including her husband. She typically stands behind him, sometimes whispering in his ear. The 17th-century English poet Emilia Lania wrote a poem, Salvedeus Rex Judaorum, in which Pilate's wife is the main speaker. She makes reference to the fall of Adam and Eve and argues that Pilate's sin in killing Christ abrogates the curse on Eve, since Pilate sinned by not listening to his wife. Pilate's wife thereby becomes a champion of women's emancipation. She is a major character in the Tapesters and Couches play of the York Mystery Plays cycle, where she introduces herself as Dame Precious Procula. Her dream is dictated by the devil. He first soliloquizes to the effect that if Jesus dies, he, the devil, will lose control of men's souls. He then tells the sleeping Procula that Jesus is innocent, and that if he is condemned, she and Pilate will lose the privileged position. She wakes and sends a message to Pilate, but Annas and Caiaphas succeed in convincing him that her dream was inspired by Jesus's witchcraft. Modern literature. Charlotte Bronte wrote the poem Pilate's Wife's Dream in 1846. The biblical scholar Paul Mayer in Pontius Pilate, a biographical novel, attempts to take what is known from the documented record and from the constructive fictional narrative as connective material. Mayer refers to Pilate's wife as Procula, arguing that the name Claudia only comes from a later tradition. In his historical novel The Advocate, Randy Singer refers to Pilate's wife as Procula and tells of an earlier vision in which she had seen and been healed by Jesus. Novels inspired by Pilate's wife include The Bride of Pilate by Esther Kellner and Pilate's Wife, a novel of the Roman Empire, and Claudia, Daughter of Rome, both by Antoinette May. All books use the name Claudia, and May's book depicts her parents as Roman aristocrats related by blood to Emperor Augustus. Pilate's Wife by H.D., written between 1929 and 1934 but posthumously published in 2000, presents Pilate's wife with the name Veronica. Carol Ann Duffy's 1999 poetry collection, The World's Wife, also contains a poem titled Pilate's Wife. Modern theatre, film, and television. In theatre, the life of Pilate's wife has been the subject of the dramas A Play for Easter by Jewel Ellen Smith and Claudia Procula by Kurt M. Joseph. Andrew Lloyd Webber's Jesus Christ Superstar attributes the dream to Pontius Pilate instead of his wife in the song Pilate's Dream. In films, Pilate's wife was called Procula. In the Cecil B. DeMille epic The King of Kings, Majel Coleman played the role. She had a major part in Julian Duvivier's Golgotha, played by Edwidge Foyer. She is mentioned briefly in Pilate's hand-washing scene in The Robe. Other notable cinematic references include Barbara Billingsley in The Day of Triumph, Viveka Lindfors in The King of Kings, Jean Crane in the Italian film Pontius Pilate, and Angela Lansbury in the epic The Greatest Story Ever Told. She is also depicted in the film The Inquiry, where she is played by Phyllis Margaret Logan, as well as in the remake of The Inquiry, played by Anna Karnakis. In the film The Passion of the Christ, she is known as Claudia Procles. In this film, Claudia fails in her effort to lobby her husband to save Jesus, and consoles Jesus' mother Mary and Mary Magdalene as she generously hands them towels to clean up the blood from his scourging. Pontius Pilate's wife also has appeared in comedy. John Case played her in Monty Python's 1979 Life of Brian. On television, Pilate's wife was played by Joan Leslie in the 1951 Family Theatre episode Hill No. 1, and by Geraldine Fitzgerald in the 1952 Studio One episode Pontius Pilate. Hope Longy played her in the 1980 made-for-television film The Day Christ Died. More recently, Pilate's wife is featured in the 2008 TV serial The Passion, played by Esther Hall, and in the 2013 miniseries The Bible, portrayed by Louise Delamere. Delamere reprised her role in 2014's Son of God. Joanne Whalley portrayed Pilate's wife in the 2015 series A.D. The Bible Continues. Conspiracy theories. The purported letter of Procula in recent times has become associated with the alleged mystery of Rennes-le-Château by French authors Christian Daumier and Chris Darquis.